Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Today is the 28th of January. So, something I wanted to discuss after watching Clif's latest video titled Clif Wuju, Mandela Effect, AI and Quantum Computers, because he describes in detail this whole AI agenda which is being pushed currently. And for those of you that have the time, I'd recommend actually watching the entire of this video, because coming from a computer programming and code writing background, he's the guy who can actually reflect deeper understanding of where this AI technology is going. And he categorically states in this video that AI cannot be a self-learning or evolving tool without running a format of code which is being designed and written by humans. So during the last few weeks, I've stumbled across articles which I've actually recorded in a format documenting where this AI technology is going. But I believe after being educated via Clif's videos that this is nothing more than propaganda. So why do I say this? Here's one of the articles that I actually recorded. Google's AI just created its own universal language. And obviously there's a lot coming out in the media around this advanced technology. Now going over to another article here, we have from the Giza Death Star. January the 19th, Joseph P. Farrell. In case you may have missed that little announcement about artificial, the mind-blowing AI announcement from Google that you probably missed. And just in case you read this article and are still so shocked that you're missing it, here it is in all of its frightening implications glory. Phrase-based translation has no capacity to make educated guesses at words it doesn't recognize and can't learn from new input. All that changed in September, when Google gave their translation tool a new engine. The Google Neural Machine Translation System, GNMT. This new engine comes fully loaded with all the hot 2016 buzzwords like neural network and machine learning. The short version is that Google Translate got smart. It developed the ability to learn from the people who use it. It learned how to make educated guesses about the content, tone, and the meaning of phrases based on the context of other words and phrases around them. And here's the bit that should make your brain explode. It got creative. Google Translate invented its own language to help it translate more effectively. What's more, nobody told it to. It didn't develop a language, or interlingua, as Google call it, because it was coded to. It developed a new language because the software determined over time that this was the most efficient way to solve the problem of translation. Stop and think about that for just a moment. Let it sink in. A neural computing system designed to translate content from one human language into another developed its own internal language to make the task more efficient, without being told to do so in a matter of weeks. But the problem still remains. The computer used one set of patterns it noticed in a context that appeared in another context, and then mapped that pattern into a new context unfamiliar to it. That, precisely, is analogical thinking. It is a topological process that seems almost innate in our every thought, and that, precisely, is the combustion engine of human intelligence, and in my opinion, of any intelligence. And that raises some nasty high-octane speculations, particularly for those who have been following my quote CERN speculations about hidden data correlation experiments. For such data correlations would require massive computing power and also an ability to do more or less this pattern recognition and mapping function. The hidden implication with that is that if this is what Google is willing to talk about publicly, imagine what has been developed in private, corporate and government secrecy. The real question then becomes, how long has it been going on? And my high-octane speculative answer is I suspect for quite a while. And one clue might be the financial markets themselves, now increasingly driven by computer trading algorithms and by markets that increasingly look like they are reflecting that machine reality and not a human market reality. Even the flash crashes we occasionally hear about might have some component of which we're not being told. Anyway, the article goes on to talk about how the AI software, without coding or design, started to create its own language to transition and reduce the amount of cross-linking. So following on from that, we then have this latest edition, January the 27th, again on the Giza Death Star by Joseph P. Farrell. And as you guys will have heard, and if not, you're about to hear, the EU Parliament committee votes to give robots rights and a kill switch. And this is obviously his words. Quote, "Foreseeing a rapidly approaching age of autonomous artificial intelligence, a European Parliament committee has voted to legally bestow electronic personhood to robots. The status includes a detailed list of rights, responsibilities, regulations, and a kill switch." End quote. The committee voted by 17 votes to 2, with 2 abstentions, to approve a draft report written by Luxembourg MEP Maddie Delvaux, who believes, quote, "robots, bots, androids, and other manifestations of artificial intelligence," end quote, "will spawn a new industrial revolution. She wants to establish a European agency to develop rules for how to govern AI behavior. Specifically, Delvaux writes about how increased levels of autonomy in robot entities will make usual manufacturing liability laws insufficient. It will become necessary, the report states, to be able to hold robots and their manufacturers legally responsible for their acts. So, legally, anything that the robot does classes as a manufacturer's responsibility, sounding at times like a governmental whisper of Isaac Asimov's 3 laws of robotics. The report states, quote, "A robot may not harm humanity or, by inaction, allow humanity to come to harm," end quote. The rules will also affect AI developers, who, according to the report, will have to engineer robots in such a way that they can be controlled. And that's the key word, guys, that we're going to be looking at. The rules will also affect AI developers to engineer robots in such a way that they can be controlled. Includes a kill switch, a mechanism by which rogue robots can be terminated or shut down remotely. So I'm going to stop there, and that really comes to my concluding point if we go back to what Clif is now saying in this latest video of his released today on the 28th of January. None of these robots can become rogue without the code written by coders to make it, quote, go rogue, end quote. So then it makes you think. We're all aware that the EU is crumbling and the power of its current system is collapsing. So if we anticipate, with all the vast wealth that the IMF currently holds in gold form, physical gold form, and with the current situation of the global economy, and supposedly if Trump is genuinely fighting against this New World Order agenda, which by the looks of things he is, and with the UK leaving the European Union, the whole agenda regarding the EU army that they were obviously pushing for over the last few years is going to come to a head where that's not going to go forward in its human form. But what we might be seeing come out of this whole false AI legalization of laws being implemented, there may be some form of technology being created, which obviously we are not privy to, but is in the form of defensive nature in order to protect the bureaucratic, the oligarch European rulers when their current scheme fails and they have to relocate, knowing full well that there is actually no technical AI ability by the definitions that they're putting out in the media, but are simply executing code. So if it is to be a robotic future, and I'm talking putting guns in robots' hands as protective robotic AI security for none other than the high elites of society that equally have the kill switch code, but also have the ability to set that code and execute it into what could be a war state mode. And if you have endless amounts of paper currencies and endless amounts of manufacturing ability, you could churn out huge amounts of these drone type combat units which have absolutely no emotional connection or consciousness. So it'd pull that trigger as simple as accepting that execution order. But it's definitely food for thought, seeing where this agenda is actually unfolding when you take the realities which Clif lays out and blend it with obviously the misinformation that the media are portraying, and then you have to draw a conclusion as to why that might be a reason, why they might be creating personal legal law behind these robotic lumps of metal, effectively. Anyway, we'll have to see where this evolves, but before I end this video, I'll just show you a quick thing that's been constructed over the last few years for those of you who aren't aware, and some of you will. The hierarchy inside of this EU, NATO, New World Order agenda are actually aware that their system is collapsing and they are losing grip of their control. So they are going to have to hit a retreat at some stage. So they have already built the infrastructure for their retreat post. And this has actually been located in Kazakhstan. The New World Order has created its first capital city headquarters in Astana, Kazakhstan. And you only have to see some of the images of these buildings to understand that this is Kabul related infrastructure. And considering that this city has been developed and popped up from a country that has a relatively small population of only 17 million people and an extremely low GDP. But this is where the retreat is going to take place, while most of Europe and the West is going to shit. So some of the things that we can see inside of this city is what appears to be a great hand holding the earth. There's obviously 2 golden towers, and then there's this pyramid structure with obviously the top tier all-seeing eye at the top. You also have up here the Roman eagle, and it goes on to say in this article, today we want to tell you about a place so fantastical and so much in the line with the Illuminati and the New World Order that you will accuse us of making it up. But let me assure that everything you are about to see is 100% real and exists at this very moment in time. It is the perfect city of the end times, and its location is in Astana, Kazakhstan. The Pyramid of Peace expresses the spirit of the Kazakhstan, says the official PR release, where cultures, traditions and representatives of various nationalities coexist in peace, harmony and accord. Bathed in the golden and pale blue glow of the glass, 200 delegates from the world's main religions and faiths will meet every 3 years in a circular chamber based on the United Nations Security Council meeting room in New York. The Palace of Peace and the Reconciliation was conceived as a permanent venue for the Congress of the Global Center for Religious Understanding, the reunification of violence and the promotion of faith and human equality, allegedly. But it's worth, guys, just keeping an eye on what is happening, obviously over in this city as well, and the buildings that are being constructed, because that is a city with extremely high levels of sophistication, development in very Western standards, and obviously you can see this European circle. Anyway, guys, I just wanted to share that one with you because I haven't seen that said anywhere. And it's definitely food for thought, because you could have an entire robotic defense system securing the entire perimeter of this city, with sentinels dotted all around the streets, much like the Roman legionnaires once used to patrol Rome to protect their hierarchy. Nothing changes, history just repeats itself. These systems will collapse, the rulers will run for cover, but at least now we know where they're going to be running. Take care, guys. I'll see you in my next video.